Yeah, my name is Philip Broeksma. Thank you for having me here. I'll talk in English. I tried my Italian and it's like 27 maggio, 2022. That's about it. Thank you. That's about it. But Google is my friend, so I have Google Translate in my pocket. And when you actually point it at the transparencies, at the slides, it will be translated automatically in any language you wish. I'm vice mayor of the city of Groningen in the Netherlands, and vice mayor for both energy transition and mobility. And when the two comes together, that's when I'm the most happy. Just introduce Groningen a little bit. A cycling city as we are. Population 230,000, but we're a student city. Like 80,000 people are between 18 and let's say 25 because they're studying in one of the universities or vocational education. Half of the population therefore is under 35. The north part of the Netherlands, 1.5 million people. We are actually the capital, the economic engine of that part of the Netherlands. And last year we were elected, or after a research, established the healthiest living environment in the Netherlands. And we have more cyclists than anywhere in the world. 2/3 of every movement of mobility within the city limits is by bike. Furthermore, we're one of the leaders in sustainable public transport, as we have 164 electric buses for public transport and 32 hydrogen buses actually driving through the city with zero emission. And last but not least, we are a compact city, and we try to be even a more compact city when we are a growing city, to build as close to the city center as we can, to retain that 15-minute city as we want to be. I'm just waiting for a translation. We are well on our way. Well on the way, which is the title of our mobility plan, our Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan, SUMP, that we introduced and was approved by the City Council in December 2021. And we have there, we explain and we establish new ways of thinking. There's a reason for that. There are several reasons. But for one thing, mobility, of course, is part of our daily existence. As said before, earlier today, this is what we do, working, studying, experiencing culture, sports, everything. But limits have been reached. We have experienced growing cities and growing mobility. These are pictures from the city of Groningen. And we look at the upper right corner, there's the logistics part, the trucks, the vans driving through the city, and it simply doesn't fit. It simply doesn't fit anymore. Groningen is a medieval city, and at the time you cannot really blame them for it. They didn't take this into account. When you look at the bikes, parking bikes is a problem in itself. We're dealing with that and we're solving that. But look at the cars, and maybe we didn't really make that choice. Like, do we cater for the growing mobility? Do we cater for the growing number of cars? And actually we've done that in the past decades. More cars, more roads, and more cars, more parking spaces. We try to cater for the growing mobility, the growing car mobility, and it kind of happened to us. We didn't make that explicit choice, like we're gonna use our public space for cars rather than something else. With these growing cities and the growing mobility and the recognition that it doesn't fit anymore, we need to have radical changes. Our main starting point is the public space. The public space is ours, is from us, the city, from the inhabitants of the city. And in the past, like I said before, space for traffic, space for mobility, space for cars was the starting point, and then there was remaining space, and the remaining space would be for the other functions. Now we say we turn it around, 180 degrees, we look at it from a different point of view. We say public space primarily serves for the quality of life. It's our public space, it's from us, from the city, from our inhabitants, and we use it for what our inhabitants want and need most. So quality of life, mobility obviously is a part of it, but we have priority for mobility that requires less space. And when you look at the graph, you see that cars have bad grades. It's a driving car, at the left, maybe you can't see it very properly, but it says a car that drives 50 kilometers per hour, the space it needs, 135 square meters. A car that drives 30 kilometers per hour requires less space, but it's all so much more than looking at bikes or buses, tramways, or walking. So the car has bad grades. So using space for mobility for cars is maybe the worst idea from a space point of view. When you want to reduce space for traffic, then reduce speed limits for cars. We just saw that cars, when they drive 30 kilometers per hour or 50 kilometers per hour, they require less space because they can follow closer to one another, and at the same time, it's more safe because you can brake quicker, and the impact of an accident is less. So that's an advantage on the side. More cars in parking garage and park and ride locations, and we stimulate public transport, cycling, and walking. When you look at the pictures, the black and white picture is our fish marketplace we have in the city center. It used to be a parking space several years ago. We changed that into now a space where you can have a terrace, or where you can have a festival, or even buy fish. It's a fish marketplace. Again, and well, you see in color, we're happy. In black and white, it's bad, you know. But the cars have disappeared. We continued breathing. We're still alive, and so we could just do it. We did it, and it happened, and we're still alive. So we can de-stone, get the stones out from current traffic and parking space, and replace it with greenery, trees, playgrounds, what people want. It's more attractive, it's a place you more like to be, and it's more climate-proof, and it's climate adaptation. Remember, that's that other problem that we have, the changing of the climate and the heat stress that you need to address. So climate-proof, with greenery, trees, playgrounds, it has an additional effect. And reducing the space for cars, say goodbye to car-based street design. Start with the street as a multi-purpose square meters, and the mobility just part of it. So we need to change travel behavior. And we explicitly offer mobility that takes up less space, clean and healthy. Healthy, that's another issue. Biking and walking is good for your health condition, which is also a growing problem in Western societies. That's other problem that we need to solve. On the lower upper left corner, you see our TCP from 1977. It's version 1.0, and December last we have our traffic circulation plan 2.0 with a huge majority in the city council. The first one you see the inner city, the upper left right corner, the inner city in which we divided into 4 sectors, and you cannot move by car from one sector to another. Walking and cycling you can, by car you cannot. So if you want to go from one sector to the other, you have to go to the ring road surrounding the city center, and then get into the next sector where you need to be. So almost every place in the city center is still accessible by car, but not in the shortest way. Now we've changed that into the bigger picture. You see the gray part in the center is that city center, and we now have the big ring road around Groningen. And if you want to move from one part of the city to another part, and one district to another district, go via the ring road, and then enter the district where you need to be. It reduces traffic, car traffic, with 20%, 21 to be exactly. And you may know 20% reduction of traffic means 100% of congestion gone. So no more congestion. You saw that in the COVID, so 20% less traffic and no more congestions anywhere, at least in the Netherlands. So this is a huge thing, so you can still get with your car on all places, but not through the fastest or the shortest route. You have to go outside and then enter. So less mobility. So we want to stimulate using the bike, because for bikes you don't have that problem. Change of modes. So move from the car to public transport or to walking, and we want green mobility like the hydrogen buses. And actually, what do car drivers think of this? What car drivers need is not more roads, because roads will be jammed as well. You get congestion, but some years after this. Car drivers need better public transport. Car drivers need better biking lanes, because, well, not yourself, but the other car drivers in front of you causing that congestion, they should all move into the public transport or use their bike, so that for yourself you can drive on that road. I'm kind of joking about it, but the reality is that you don't need more cars, you need better public transport. And actually, if all the car drivers, if all those who use bikes and all those who use public transport would use their car, it's an impossible. So you can only drive your car by the fact that others are willing to use public transport or their bikes. If we have this turnaround in thinking, if we have more public space, less for cars and more for other functions, we can change our roads. And we also made a design guidelines for public spaces. And I have a few examples. This is a current road we have. Look at the parking space. Look at the number of lanes for cars, etc. And we can simply change it into this. And soon we'll have this. More space for people, and then even later we can have it like this. Less space for cars, wadi every now and then. People can walk onto the street in the greenery, the children can have that. So actually you can also ask the question, what happened? Why did we make that choice that for children to go to a playground you have to walk 3 blocks? And for cars, the cars is parked outside your house. If you ask people, where do you want to park your car? They would say, in front of my house. But if you ask the people, how would you like your street to look like? They say something like this. And yes, parking a car, we did ask the question, parking a car is like on the 10th position. Yes, we do need to park our cars somewhere, but nobody wants a street full of cars. Nobody wants it, yet we have it. So something happened. So the street is we have a different street as a starting point, 1 minute, yeah? So the human dimension is the most guiding. Mobility is no longer the norm. Mobility is part of it, but no longer the norm. And we looked at the 10 dimensions of the street. The street is not just for mobility, a street is that thing you are when you leave your door. I'll read a few things. So then my final one is this: quality of life should be leading in our street design. Break through the traditional sectoral approach, look at the street as an entire ecosystem, and have your design from there. Thank you.